What is up, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, we discuss all things culture and politics, and in today's video, we must discuss the new Democratic candidate who is running for mayor in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Omar Fateh. Fateh, Fupa, don't know, don't care. Yes, you heard me right. It was really only a matter of time before a Somali decided to run for office here in Minneapolis or in Minnesota in general, so we must get into all of that. But before we do, if you could please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you feel so inclined. You don't have to, but you should. Be sure to follow my TikTok and other social medias in the description down below. And if you feel like supporting my work, you can donate to the channel via a super thanks or by becoming a member for as low as $5 a month. And with all of that out of the way, let's get into the mess, shall we? Obviously, this is a wild topic regardless, but in case you're new around here, hi, I'm Cherry and I am born and raised in Minneapolis. So I've lived in other states. I lived in Boston for almost 10 years and I lived in Chicago for a brief period of time, but most of my life has been spent right here in my hometown of Minneapolis. Needless to say, yeah, I care a little bit about what's going on here politically, and you should too. As though New York's mayoral candidacy wasn't bad enough, now enter Omar Fateh. Fateh, Fupa, who cares? There is a lot we have to dig into here because this run for mayor really says a lot about the political and cultural climate here in Minneapolis, amongst other things. So what I've done is I have compiled some clips from Omar's own social medias, okay? So you can hear some of these things right from the horse's mouth, and I have some other news briefings and things to react to because more than anything, my goal with this video is if you are a resident of Minneapolis, please watch this. Please educate yourself. If you are considering voting for this fool, please reconsider. This is going to set a very dangerous precedent in a lot of different ways if we decide to elect this, truthfully, very incompetent person. So let's just dive right into it and take a look.
Minneapolis deserves a mayor that's dedicated to coalition building, regardless of whether or not it's an election year. Just last year, Mayor Fry vetoed the city budget that dedicated record investments in housing, homelessness, and their immigrant communities. He threatened thousands of city worker jobs. That's not leadership. In my current role as state senator representing South Minneapolis, I've passed many bills with the support of my Republican colleagues, including tuition-free college for our working families, as well as increased wages for our Uber and Lyft drivers. If elected mayor, I'll bring that same vision for collaboration to City Hall and end the current culture of division between the mayor's office and city council.
Oh, really? You think you're going to stop any divisiveness with what you plan on running on, sir? You think you're going to stop divisiveness as a socialist? That really makes sense. Bruh. So listen, I'm not really a big fan of Jacob Fry, our current mayor. Yes, I'm sure you've heard of him. He famously knelt down and cried crocodile tears at George Floyd's funeral. Not a big fan of him. I would say that he has single-handedly destroyed Minneapolis, but that would mean that we aren't counting Tim Walz in that mix, and that is entirely unfair. But these two, Fry and Walz, have destroyed this city. Minneapolis used to be just a very typical Midwestern metro city, okay? Not a lot going on, to be honest. Not a ton of crime, not a ton of homelessness, certainly not anything more than most cities. In fact, I would say significantly less. Used to be renowned for its greenery, its cleanliness. It's like a small town, big city vibe. Since these two idiots have taken office, they have somehow taken one of the fastest growing metropolitan areas and one of the highest rated states in the country and just thrown it into the shitter. It's actually unbelievable how fast these two have destroyed this state. Crime is out of control here. I mean, I think it was just yesterday or a day or two ago, a very populated residential street was, you can see here, there was like 8 cars, all smashed windows. This sort of thing goes on constantly all the time, when it didn't used to. Homelessness is out of control. There never used to be a homeless problem here. You would rarely see homeless people in Minnesota. Now it's everywhere. It's actually made its way out all the way to the richest suburbs of Minneapolis. You will find homeless people there. Obviously, we have a serious immigrant problem. I mean, hello, we have a Somali running for mayor. I mean, that should tell you everything, honestly. But it has gotten even worse since we started importing Somalis. Now we just have all sorts of immigrants. And of course, this is all on the taxpayer dime. All of these immigrants are benefiting from social welfare programs at the behest of people like myself who pay the taxes. Meanwhile, these immigrants never actually acclimate into our American culture and society, and they just leech on that same society that was so generous enough to even give them a start here in America. The city is absolutely trashed now. I mean, it's just garbage. And yes, housing and prices are significantly higher and taxes are out of control. The state is the 4th highest taxed in the country, and yet it seems that those who pay into those taxes receive the least amount of benefits. I mean, property taxes are out of control and we can't even get our streets plowed in the wintertime. In case you forgot, Minnesota has a lot of snow. So these very basic minimum things that we should be receiving for all of the money that we pay into taxes, we don't even get because all of these immigrants are just leeching off of our money. So safe to say, not a fan of Jacob Fry, okay? But I would take him over this psychopath any day of the week. That's how bad this is. He mentioned Uber and Lyft. Yeah, Uber and Lyft. Okay. So Uber and Lyft actually were this close from leaving the Minneapolis market altogether because of this stupid bill that this idiot worked on and passed. They have been trying to raise minimum wage to an absurdly ungodly amount in this state for so long. They wanted to force Uber and Lyft to pay $15 an hour minimum wage to their drivers, which was so uneconomical for them that they literally just said, if that's going to be the case, we're just going to pull out of the market. There was a solid couple of months where we didn't have Uber and Lyft and we weren't sure if we were ever going to get them back because of this exact bill that he's talking about. So don't let him fool you with these faux accomplishments. All they actually did was hurt the city, not help it. And I'm sure you heard him mention the college tuition thing. Do I even need to explain why that is such a terrible idea? Okay, if everybody just gets to go to college for free, again, on the dime of people like myself who actually pay their taxes, then what's the point of even having a degree? If everybody can get a Hermes Birkin, then it loses all its value. Half of the point of college is the exclusivity factor of it. So this idea that we should just be paying for everybody's college is so ridiculous, just on its head. I'm so sick of this conversation. And that's without even getting into like the ridiculousness of the numbers on it in the spending. We can't afford to pay for everyone's college to begin with. That is such an insane suggestion. And it doesn't mean anything if we do. Stupid, okay? It's just stupid. Let's move on to another video before I have a heart attack.
Hello everyone, Senator Omar Fateh here, candidate for Mayor of Minneapolis. And today, I'm here to share some exciting news. This year, I'll be starting a new chapter in my life. And no, I'm not talking about becoming your next mayor. I'm excited to announce I'm going to become a dad. My wife Kaltoum and I can't wait to build our family here in the best city on earth, Minneapolis. I'm excited to become a dad, but I'll be honest, it's becoming harder to build a family here in Minneapolis. Rent's going through the roof, we've seen the failures of our public safety system, and we've seen decades of disinvestment in our underrepresented communities. I've been asking myself, how do we make things a little bit easier for families? And the truth is, it starts right here in city government, by electing a mayor that actually fights for working families. I've spent my entire career fighting for working class people, because I am one. I'm going to be a mayor that works as hard as you do, and a mayor you can trust. I'll come to work every day fighting for you like I fight for my own family.
Can we just address the elephant in the room here? There is no real policy in any of these videos and on his website. Anything this man puts out is not attached to any real tangible policy. Okay, it's all just ideas and empty platitudes and pleasantries and ideologies. None of this is actually rooted in any real policy. Anybody can say that they're going to work hard for you as mayor. That doesn't mean anything. How are you going to do that? What does that look like, right? How much is it gonna cost? What is the burden on taxpayers? And you're gonna see in all of these videos and clips, there's no real substance to any of this. It's just the typical socialist BS, the typical socialist narratives where they empathize with what the average American is going through and serve you these empty platitudes like they can relate to you and they're gonna change things because they're just like you. They really care. That doesn't mean anything. Okay, we've heard the same old song and dance for so long. Anytime a politician delivers that kind of messaging, that should be an automatic red flag. Nobody cares about ideas. To be honest, no one should care about ideas. Let's see how you're actually gonna do it. Yes, things are more expensive and housing is more difficult to obtain in Minneapolis. Do you know why that might be, Omar? It's because people like you keep coming here and invading our city and stealing our housing. The community of immigrants here don't contribute to our economy, our taxpayer-funded pool, or really our society at all. These people come in here and they take. Yes, housing has become very expensive here because there's not enough of it, because we have all of these people who don't belong here that are just living here. And we have over 60,000 Somalis living here that shouldn't be here. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. They shouldn't be here. Truthfully, the only way that you address the housing problem, to start at least, is to start getting rid of some of these illegals. But as you're gonna see, of course, Omar, he doesn't believe in that. He is actually going to make sure that ICE cannot conduct raids here in Minneapolis, okay? He's gonna make sure that Trump can't do what we all voted for him to do here. That just goes to show exactly why you cannot have people that are not native to your land rule over you. And don't even start with me. I know he was born here. Doesn't matter. This is not Somalians' native land. They come over here into our great city and great country, and they try to take everything that makes this place great, turn it on its head, and implement what they do back in their country. They're war-torn shithole countries. You know, it's one thing if you want to come over here and reap some of the benefits that people like myself, and let's just put it out there, white people create. But it's another when you come over here and try to tell us how to live and you try to govern over us in your way. That doesn't work. Somalia is a shithole. The only economics they got going on over there is piracy. Again, stealing from Americans. So let's not even go there, sir. All right, I have a couple other videos to show you, and then we are gonna just very quickly take a look at Mr. Omar's vision for Minneapolis. I can give you a heads up, it's a nightmare.
Everyone keeps asking me, Omar, why aren't you doing more videos? As a state senator with a second full-time job and a kid on the way, I just haven't been able to find the time. I've also been fighting for you, passing things like tuition-free college for working-class families, rideshare protections for our Uber and Lyft drivers, and the legalization of fentanyl testing strips. But this summer, you're going to be seeing a lot more of me, because we deserve nice things in Minneapolis too. To make an affordable Minneapolis that works for everyone, we need a mayor that works as hard as you do. I'm ready to work hard to 1. Build a Minneapolis that working people can afford to call home. 2. Protect our city from a hostile White House. And 3. Diversify our city's public safety response. By increasing the minimum wage to $20 by 2028 and passing rent stabilization to stop price gouging and incentivizing new construction, we can protect workers. Protecting all of our communities from Donald Trump means not letting MPD interact with ICE, whether it's for an immigration raid or not. Our residents deserve a mayor that will stand up to Donald Trump and say, no, not in our community. Did you know that the city's own data showed that 47% of calls to MPD can be diverted to non-police response? Cops aren't social workers. Investments in programs like these ensure that the appropriate response arrives when we call 911. And we can actually free up police resources to focus on violent crime that detracts from community safety. Oh, I'm sorry. It's my campaign managers again. They've been on my case all week about make more videos. I'll find the time tomorrow.
So let me get this straight. You fucking idiots here in Minneapolis, you want to elect somebody that can't even find the time to run a proper campaign.
I'll find the time tomorrow.
Other mayoral candidate doesn't have a family and another job. That's not an excuse. And I'm sorry, it just gets to the crux of the issue. And yes, we are going to talk about the crime issue. Don't worry, we're gonna talk about the crime issue. Yes, we are. We're gonna get into some of these other things that he's talking about. But we have to address the issue on its head. I'll take one for the team. I will get crucified. I will get canceled, whatever. Someone has to say it because everybody knows it. Everybody knows this. Somalians are not compatible with American culture. Why does Minnesota have such a large population of Somalians? I'll tell you. It began in 1995. Okay, the decline began in 1995. Coincidentally, the year I was born. At the time, our local government decided they were going to take in a small group of Somalian refugees because there was a lot of civil war and whatnot going on in the country at the time. There always is, because that's what goes on in Africa. It's always war-torn over there. Well, here we are in 2025 and not much has changed. In fact, over the course of 30 years, we have let in and grown the Somali community here in Minnesota to over 60,000. Obviously, if you're like myself and you're really not for immigration at all, that's not good on its head. But the truth of the matter is Somalis are a different breed in of themselves. This is not just like your average Mexican immigrant, okay? This is not your average like Middle Eastern immigrant. This is a whole nother animal. Just so you know, Minnesotans are generally cowards, okay? They're passive-aggressive Midwesterners. So they will never express publicly that this is how they feel, but privately, this is how everybody feels in this state. Do not let these liars deceive you. Everybody thinks what I'm about to say because it's just the truth. There's no denying it. Somalis, they do not acclimate to our society. They do not contribute anything to our society. They leech off of all of the social welfare programs that people like myself pay. They contribute virtually nothing to our economy, to our society, to our culture. In fact, the only effort they really make is to try and implement their culture over ours. Omar Fateh is a prime example of this. He's the best of the best. You don't see a lot of Somalis really in our government because they're just not adept, okay? It's actually really cruel to import them here and try to force them to exist in our society because the truth is they just can't keep up. They can barely keep up with all of the help that they get from us. The guy is clearly incompetent. His whole campaign is empty platitudes and ideology. There's no real, policy involved. He can't even be bothered to make videos for his campaign. Hurrah! It's like, dude, I'm sorry, but you're the prime example of how Somalis have a hard time existing and keeping up in American culture. It's just a shining example of that. And I have another video that I will show you in a minute where it's the same thing over and over again. Like, what do you mean that you can't be bothered to make 1-minute TikTok videos? What do you think everybody else does? You know, that is not a good sign for somebody who wants to be mayor. Like, you can't juggle 3 things. Bruh. That's insane, all right? Because you're gonna have to juggle a lot more than that as mayor of a major 15th largest metropolitan area. Like, be so for real. He's not particularly a great public speaker, all right? I mean, seriously, at least Mondamir, whatever his name is, has a little bit more vigor than this guy. You can just see that he is not operating on the correct level. Let's just say that, to be somebody who's going to run a major metropolitan city. Okay, you guys need to start getting real and you need to start being honest with yourselves. As embarrassing as it is for me to say this, Minneapolis residents will eat this up. They are so moronic and dumb that don't vote for him. He's gonna bring change. You are idiots. You have to stop and think. This city and this state have been under Democratic leadership for decades, and the city and the state have done nothing but decline and regress. Why do you think going even further left is going to change anything? It is only going to exasperate all of the problems we already have here. And the ideas that he is shoveling out are prime examples of this. Remember how in the first video he was saying that crime is a big issue for people and voters and residents of Minneapolis? What is Omar's solution? We'll just defund the police some more and we'll replace them with social workers. Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. It's not like crime has gone up significantly in Minneapolis and we've lost 40% of our police force since 2020 in the George Floyd riots. It's almost like those two things correlate. Breathe air. But no, Omar has an even better idea. Let's police even less. Meanwhile, you have the Somalian youth running rampant throughout the city and causing chaos and destruction everywhere they go. There is such a problem with Somali youth and gang violence right now in our city that the elders in the Somali community are like pleading with the youth to just stop. There's no rhyme or reason even to their crime because they can't even commit crime well, okay? They're not even good at robbing. They are not even good at selling drugs. They can't even do that. They have literally resorted to what they do in their home country. They just obtain illegal guns and shoot at each other and fight each other for literally no reason. Somalis will literally just see another Somali and just start shooting at each other. I'm not kidding you, this is happening. Not even a couple months ago, there was a high school graduation where two Somalis started shooting at each other during the graduation. It's a problem. And what is Omar's solution? Less cops. Yeah, because that's been working really well here, right? That's been working really well. You can't even get your own community under control. And you think that replacing cops with social workers is gonna solve the issue? Delusional, absolutely delusional. And again, Minneapolis residents are like, they just eat this up because they can't, they can't see past messaging. It's seriously so pathetic. I'm legitimately begging you people, if you are considering voting for this fool, to please reconsider. Like seriously, at this point, something is actually wrong with you if you think that this is a good idea. We are living in a hellhole, a communist shithole here in Minneapolis. How do you think going further left is going to change anything? But take my word for it, this motherfucker will win and he will be the mayor. Fortunately, I'll be moving here in the next couple of months, because I refuse to deal with this. I'm not going to deal with this. This is absolutely ridiculous, okay? I don't care that he was born here. I don't care. Islam is also not compatible with Christianity and with America. It's just not. Why is this controversial? It's not. Not even 15 years ago, what I am saying was broadly and generally accepted by most Americans. I do not support Israel. I do not support Zionism, but I also don't support Islam in our country either, especially when it is dominating and taking over our cities and literally creeping its way into our government now. You know, for all the feminists, all the stupid white liberal affluent feminists that are gonna vote for this guy and eat this up, do you think that Islam accepts feminism? It doesn't. It doesn't at all. Hurrah! You would have to be especially stupid or retarded to think that as a flying liberal feminist, it's a good idea to vote in an Islamic pundit. Like, you would actually have to be a special type of stupid, but they will. They will. Just wait. They will. I swear, some people are just so dense. It's like, it's infuriating. And one last point before we move on. I'm sorry, but we have to talk about it. We have to talk about the ICE immigration thing. Of course, an immigrant is going to try and stop ICE raids. Duh. That is exactly why we should not be electing immigrants into office. This is insanity. The majority of America voted for Donald Trump and voted for his policies. We voted to deport immigrants. That's what we voted for. How dare you try to step in here and block that from happening? How dare you? I'm sorry, but who do you think you are? Omar Fateh, who do you think you are? You think you can come in to our country and tell us how to live and tell us what to do and tell us what we can and can't accept from the federal government? Absolutely not. It's so entitled and unbelievably disrespectful. This is the problem with immigrants and immigrant families. They cannot see past their bias on this subject. They just can't. Newsflash, nobody in the world is entitled to being an American citizen. Just like nobody is entitled to being a French citizen. Just like nobody is entitled to being a Chinese citizen, aside from people who were born there. Why is this controversial? It's not. And I'm tired of pretending that it is. It makes my blood boil. And all of these idiot libtards don't understand that half the reason you can't get ahead in life is because America has been inundated with illegal immigrants for decades at this point. When you just let people into this country unvetted and you let them in at the rate of millions, of course it's going to saturate the entire country. Of course it's going to drag us all behind. On what planet is that sustainable? Well, do I really have to break down to you why we can't sustain that? I'll give you a hint. It's exactly why we are in all of the predicaments that we are in right now. All right, let's move on to another video from Omar.
I'm trying not to smile. 1 second. Because it's emotional. Don't look at me, please. Oh, let me say it again. Candidate for Minneapolis mayor. I messed it up and I forgot the rest of it. I'm sorry. So join our team today at Fateh. I'm trying my best, man. I'm sorry. I'm ready now. Wait, I forgot the line. Let's do it again. What was it again? You got it?
Listen, I understand that they posted that thinking that it would be relatable, and all of the NPCs in the comments are eating it up because they are stupid enough to fall for that and actually believe that it's relatable. That is embarrassing. Mayors and those who serve in government need to do well in front of the camera. Usually anyone who is in office is pretty good at performing for the camera, right? If you can't do that, you should not run for mayor because that's going to be most of your life, being in front of cameras and representing the city that you govern over. If you can't even do that, how can we expect you to be a good mayor? It just speaks to the incompetency. He can't even speak clear or fast. He has no charisma. In fact, the only reason that there is even any attention on this guy at all is A, our current mayor is such a disaster and has fucked things up so bad that people think this is a good idea. Bruh. And B, it's just because he's Somali. That's the only two reasons anyone has any interest in this guy. It's not because he has good ideas or good policies. It's not because he's great on camera and has aura or charisma. It's not because he's particularly smart or intelligent. And it's certainly not because he's particularly experienced either. You should expect a lot out of those who decide to run for office, because I think some of you forget that those people work for us, not the other way around. When Omar Fateh says that he's gonna work really hard for us, you need to get brutally honest with yourself and understand that his definition of working hard is not the same as most Americans' definition of working hard. When you grow up on government aid programs, when you grow up with assistance your whole life, and even if you didn't specifically grow up on those things, though I can almost guarantee you that he did, you are simply just not going to have the same work ethic as those of us who have not had those advantages. Next.
Know how much money the super PACs are going to pour into this. We know about the tactics, the same tactics we saw in New York City that they're going to use in here, the scare tactics. Yes, the Islamophobia also, but none of that matters because we got the people. And if we have the people that are going to continue to show up, continue to fight, continue to spread the message, there's no way in hell we're going to lose this.
Like, I can't get over the general incompetency. I can't get over it. You guys seriously want this guy to go on national TV at times to get in front of very important people and represent you? That is so embarrassing. And you know what? People have every right to not want Islam creeping its way into our government. You know, all these liberals who have such liberal ideas and worldviews and perspectives can't seem to understand that Islam accepts none of that. Islam doesn't let you be gay. Islam doesn't let women have any rights. Islam certainly is not going to let you be a tranny. Like, what are you talking about? I can't understand how the same people who are all about that can elect an Islamic mayor. I don't understand it. Honestly, people have every right to feel Islamophobia. People have every right to not want an Islamic, a Jewish, even an Indian. It's not wrong to want people who represent you to govern you. And just because there are 60,000 Somalians in Minneapolis, which is a lot, that doesn't take away from the other 3 million that look like me. There's nothing wrong with wanting somebody who believes in what you do, who looks like you, who shares the same values and standards as you, who shares the same culture as you, who shares the same family dynamics as you. There's nothing wrong with you wanting that to represent you in office. And I'm so tired of acting like that's controversial or that's wrong, because it isn't. For some reason, it's okay for Omar Fateh because all the Somalians see him and they see themselves in him, so they vote for him. Why is that okay? But it's not okay when I want to vote for a Christian. It's bullshit. Okay, so now that we've sort of heard Omar's campaign, we're gonna look at some other viral clips caught of him that start to get down to who he really is and what he really believes.
We should make dua for him and pray for him I understand that our Somali communities are all connected to each other here in Minnesota and back home, and I ask for your support. There's always been a link between our community here as well as back home, and I'm running to bridge that gap and unite all of us and represent all of us, because when we succeed here, we succeed everywhere. And I'm hoping to do that just like Abdurazak, inshallah.
No matter what stupid pleasantries, no matter what dumb, grandiose ideas that this fool tries to convince you of in his campaign videos, that is what he is really running for, okay? That is what he really cares about. That is where his priorities really are. It's for his community. And while it is a disproportionately large minority and community in this city, it is still a minority in this city. You cannot run for mayor just to serve basically a 1 to 2% group of the entire city's population. And not to mention, Somalia is a war-torn shithole. They have not evolved in years, and don't even start with me about colonization, white man bad. Don't even start. They can't even govern their own country right. What makes you think that they can govern ours? At some point, specifically, white affluent Americans who prescribe to these liberal ideologies and liberal ideas need to accept the fact that people by nature are tribalistic. It's why little kids always flock to other kids who look like them. And for some reason, it's okay for every group of people on the planet to be tribalistic except for white people, specifically white Americans. Liberals, you gotta let go of the kumbaya bullshit and get real and get with reality. If we aren't tribalistic ourselves, we are going to lose our country. We are going to lose the very things and the very fundamentals that make this country and the city of Minneapolis great. It is those same principles that have even allowed people like Omar to come over here and run in the first place. But we need to start getting a lot better about protecting our communities and our values and our standards and our culture. Yes, our culture, because we do have it, in our best interest. I am tired of everybody always wanting to cover for everybody else's best interest but our own. If we don't start to do that, if white people don't start to look out for other white people, we are going to lose this whole thing of America. We're gonna lose it. When you start letting foreigners and foreign nations dictate policy and dictate how the country runs, things are gonna change rapidly because they are tribalistic. Something you people can't figure out is actually a good thing. All right, next up on the docket.
It is a big spending bill. Like I said, it's $400 million, but to be honest, it's not an expense, it's an investment. It is relatively small compared to the scope of the issue of systemic racism. This country was founded on wealth extraction from the labor of Black people, and that legacy will just not fade by itself. It needs to be uprooted.
How dare you? You are so lucky to even be afforded to live in this country and have your entire existence practically growing up be afforded to you by people, white people like myself, who actually pay into these programs, which is exactly why $400 million doesn't even sound like anything to him, okay? He doesn't even understand what that really is because this motherfucker grew up on social benefits and social welfare programs. I guarantee it. So you're gonna come over here, leech off of us, white people, and leech off our society, then corrupt our government, sneak your way in, spend our white people money, and try to enforce your worldview, which is not compatible with ours, onto us and demonize and hurt the same white people that afforded you the opportunity and basically the life that you live here. Go fuck yourself. That is such a slap in the face. And not to mention, there is a huge thing between Somalians and Black people, okay? Black people don't claim Somalians. Don't even act like you ever had to suffer the plight of slavery. Are you out of your mind? You're probably like a second or third generation immigrant. Who do you think you are? That video and that statement alone should have his ass deported. If that's what you feel and that's the cultural take over in Somalia, go do it over there, buddy, because that is not how we do it here. And you should be so lucky that you even get to get on a national platform and spew that bullshit. And on that note, I wanted to show you guys some statistics about the Somali population here. Okay, obviously I have talked a lot about how I don't think Omar Fateh is adept to even run for office, and that's just honestly based on the way that he talks and presents himself, not even giving us any real concrete plans of how to do things or processes. Here's the truth, right? The average IQ of a Somali is 67. Don't shoot the messenger, okay? The average illiteracy rate is 60%. The birth rate is 6.2 per woman, while US is 1.6 per woman, which is another topic for another time, but their annual income over there is $600, okay? So yes, it does get to the question, it does beg the question of what benefit is this community to our community? Because I would argue that they are actually quite the opposite. They are a detriment to our community and to our wallets. If you don't know, which I don't know why you would unless you're from Minneapolis, Somalis are notorious for running scams on people. They are notorious for running housing scams, in particular, phone call spams. They are notorious for running voting and ballot scams. The only thing that these people contribute to our society is scamming. Actually, of course, underneath it all, they scam all of us out of millions of dollars in taxpayer money every single year. If you still are thinking about voting for this ignoramus at this point, I must ask you the question, where do you think the money that the government gets to spend on all of these programs and benefits comes from? Okay, it comes from people like you and I who actually pay taxes. When you have no money left in your paycheck because so much of it has been taken from the government, that's what it's getting spent on. I swear to God, I don't think that a lot of liberals honestly know that.
Sprinkle, sprinkle.
Like, they might kind of know it, but I don't think they fully grasp or understand that that's what's happening. If you're tired of being broke, then you should vote accordingly and stop voting for Democrats, okay? Because they're the ones who take half your paycheck every month. You want more money in your pocket? Stop voting for socialists and communists and Democrats. Just try it. Just try that for a change, okay? All right, you guys, I just have a couple more videos left, and these are on the topic of Omar being officially endorsed by the DFL delegates. So let's just take a look at a couple clips here, and maybe you'll get a glimpse into the sort of scams that these people run around here.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey announced he is challenging the Minneapolis DFL endorsement. Frey lost the party's endorsement to State Senator Omar Fateh over the weekend. Danny Spiewak spoke with a delegate who is also challenging the endorsement. He's in the newsroom now with more on that and what it means for this fall's election. Danny.
Marina, Mayor Frey and his supporters argue that flaws in the Minneapolis DFL's electronic voting system led to Senator Fateh's endorsement. Frey has challenged the endorsement in an appeal to the state DFL party, which is technically neutral in this matter but has oversight.
Oh, now you care about voter fraud? Now you care?
Bruh.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. This state is notorious for our voter fraud, and we are notorious specifically in the 2020 election with severe voter fraud with Donald Trump versus Biden. So it's just very rich to me that now Jacob Frey cares about voter fraud when it only affects him. So don't let these people fucking gaslight you into thinking that voter fraud doesn't happen, okay? They just turn a blind eye and act like it's a crazy concept when it affects them.
Of the city's DFL branch. At the Minneapolis DFL convention this Saturday at Target Center, delegates voted to endorse State Senator Omar Fateh for mayor in November. He is also endorsed by the Twin Cities Democratic Socialists of America. While the DFL endorsement doesn't decide the November election, it provides important support to campaigns. In challenging the endorsement process, the Frey campaign claims there were, quote, hundreds of votes that were missing or uncounted in mayoral balloting due to the breakdown of the electronic voting system. One of Frey's supporters, former state party chair and convention delegate Mike Erlinson, also filed his own separate challenge on similar grounds.
This damages every single DFL endorsement that's ever been offered. It damages endorsements going forward if, in fact, this situation is not correctly reversed.
In a statement, party officials in the city said the Minneapolis DFL stands by our endorsement process. All campaigns were fully involved in the planning process in the months leading up to the convention and all convention day decisions, including observing all ballot tabulations. We did not have a chance to speak with the candidates themselves today. Fateh's campaign did not respond to a request for an interview today. Meanwhile, Mayor Fry left that Stone Arch Bridge reopening event today without taking questions, although his wife is due with their second child today, we should note. Back to you.
Wow, it's just like you can't get a hold of this guy. It reminds me of somebody else. Maybe like Ilhan Omar. Okay, these people, they come in here, they commit fraud, they steal from tax, they leech off taxpayers, they contribute nothing to society, and then they creep their way into our government. And you can't get a hold of them. Don't forget, when these people get elected into office, they work for us. They should be available 24/7. I should be able to call them at 3 in the fucking morning if I want to. And it is just a common occurrence with this group of people that you can't get a hold of them once they get into office. So that is not a very good sign. One more video to look at, and then we're gonna wrap this up.
The Minneapolis DFL has endorsed State Senator Omar Fateh to be the next mayor. Incumbent Mayor Jacob Fry has since called that endorsement into question. New tonight, our Jason Rantala takes a look at how the mayoral race could play out.
It was a lot more historic than even we were anticipating.
I'm running for mayor.
State Senator Omar Fateh, a Democratic socialist, has won the DFL endorsement, gaining at least 60% of the vote Saturday night.
What I think it says about Minneapolis is that we are ready to move on from the divisiveness and the incompetence of Mayor Fry and elect a new mayor.
Chelsea
This dumb bitch. Listen, I don't like Jacob Fry, and she's actually right about that. But moving on to Omar and socialism is not moving on to anything. All that is doing is just pushing us further down the line. That is not going to change anything. All it's going to do is keep moving us in this terrible direction and finally put the final nail in the coffin for this city. There will be no resurrecting it. You can't revive or come back from where this is headed. Businesses are going to continue to not want to come back here. Why would they? They don't get any support. They are going to be told they have to pay $20 an hour for minimum wage. They're constantly stolen from. They're constantly victims of serious crime. They're not even sure if their business is going to be there in the morning because it might be burned down by violent rioters who are determined to make a statement about a chronic addict and criminal. If we go this direction, there will be no coming back. Mark my words.
Farron is chair of Minneapolis for the Many, a political action committee seeking to elect progressives and a new mayor come November. The state senator writes on X, "This endorsement is a message that Minneapolis residents are done with broken promises, vetoes, and politics as usual."
I think that we've already seen what he's accomplished on the state level. He's passed education. He is a champion for workers' rights.
Is this surprising news to you?
Yes and no.
Hamlin political analyst David Schultz.
When incumbents run for re-election, it's really a referendum on them.
Says while Fateh was a favorite, he thought the incumbent two-term mayor Jacob Fry would have had the strategy and support to pull off a nomination.
I think there's a lot of issues in terms of crime. I think also, for good or for bad, there is a concern about availability and affordability of housing in Minneapolis.
Fry's campaign has called the results into question. In a statement, Fry's campaign manager writes, quote, "This election should be decided by the entire city rather than the small group of people who became delegates, particularly in light of the extremely flawed and irregular conduct of this convention."
This is the first time since Mayor Rybeck achieved 60% that a candidate for mayor has actually gotten the endorsement at the convention. Does this suggest that the party is more unified? I don't know. Does it suggest that maybe the progressive wing of the party has finally succeeded in taking over? Possibly.
Schultz is now calling Fry the underdog.
Underdog for sure at this point, because he's going to be at a deficiency in terms of resources and in terms of party help at this point.
Jason Rantala, WCCO News.
A Fry spokesperson says the campaign intends to submit a challenge to the state DFL.
So as you can see, nothing about this is normal. The scams are flowing as they typically do with this group of people, and we can't trust anything that comes out of their mouth. If there was any other city besides New York that was going to elect a radical Islamic socialist retard, it was going to be Minneapolis. Unfortunately, the time has come. Very predictable. And unfortunately, I predict he will win. I do, because I live here and I see, I see that what people say on social media that are from here. I obviously talk to people who are from here all the time, and I have a pretty good read on what people are thinking about all of this. Most liberals are satisfied with running government on ideas and empathy. Even though that historically and traditionally never bodes well, they just can't seem to get the message. They would rather continue to destroy our city so that they can feel good about themselves and not feel like a racist, rather than try something new and maybe vote in Republican. Seriously, most people here live in La La Land. They would rather just continue to vote for these extremely far left ideologies and ideas. The city might be declining and falling into disarray, but you know what? At least I voted for the Somalian. At least I'm not racist. And that is legitimately how people think here. They are very surface level, very passive aggressive. Again, I can tell you, most people don't even like Somalis, but they'll just go along with this because God forbid you vote in a Republican. They would rather just continue to be complicit in and allow our city and state to literally crumble in front of our eyes. They would rather have the government continue to just steal money out of our pockets. They'd rather deal with unnecessary crime and homelessness. They'd rather say goodbye to their favorite restaurants and local businesses. So that's just where we're at, but that is all I really have for you guys today. So be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments. Are you from Minneapolis? Would you vote for Omar? Be sure to let me know down in the comments below. I figured I could slip in something kind of fun and new. Obviously, you guys know that I love perfume, so I thought we could do a little perfume of the day. Today I have on Cure Fragrance House, 7 minutes. This is a vanilla extract like Amberwoods. Absolute beast mode performer. Projects very well. Will literally last on your clothes for days. I smell this on my clothes, my sweatshirts like literally months later. So I don't know that I would repurchase this, but I'm using it up and I usually like to wear this when I want to smell rich and chic and luxe. I like to wear this when I wear a lot of gold, I've realized. So please make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more real raw content like this. And I will see you guys in another one soon. And remember, God bless you, and God bless the USA and Minnesota. Bye.